And now, John Butler, if you would come up. Thank you very much.
We're about 15 minutes ahead of schedule, so I'm going to talk for 20 or... Not really. I just want to make a brief introduction to our speaker, Bob Schack. Bob grew up in Long Island, but he's lived in Atlanta, in Dunwoody, since 1981. So he still maintains a little bit of that little edgy accent from Long Island, but he's a wonderful person beyond that. Let me just tell you real quickly, he was walking in the park at the Brook Run Park and happened to come across our memorial and was curious about it and talked to the people at the Dunwoody Crier. They put him in touch with Rachel Waldron, who's the director of Parks and Recreation, and she connected us and we met for lunch. He has an unbelievably fascinating story. He was a little reluctant to participate in AVVBA because what his story, as you'll learn, happened after we were gone. But it's a significantly important story. It's very important what he participated in. So I'll let him tell you about that, but I'm really pleased, and you'll be pleased to hear from him. This is Bob Schack. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Everybody hear me okay? No. No? This? Up? How's this? Is it on? It's on. Okay, how about now? Good? Yeah, my story is pretty unusual. I mean, I'm probably the world's youngest Vietnam veteran. I'm 74 years old. I mean, I was put in a situation I never expected. I often tell my friends that I'm just like them except for a week of my life. It happened so fast, but it was very impactful, and really I'm here to give testimony today. We're in a church, so I'm here to give testimony on behalf of the crew, the Marines, people that served on Hancock over that 2-month, week, intense period that none of us expected would happen. Everything that I'm going to talk about are my observations, and all the photographs were taken on Hancock. There's no second order information. Bob asked me to write up my story. Unfortunately, I did 10,000 words. He didn't like that. I had to cut it back, but I kept going, and I have to thank John and Bob and Sue for helping me kind of crystallize the story, and it's how I got there. Next slide. Kind of how I got there, what happened, and the aftermath. What happened in Frequent Wind is going to be the day, and then the 5 days afterwards. Going to split that up. And then I have some thoughts, and I have an artifact that I want to show you guys that I think will be really meaningful that I had. And somehow I feel like I was meant to be here today to talk, even though I didn't pay any kind of price or do anything significant, really, at all, zero. So first, a little bit on the Hancock. Hancock was an Essex-class carrier, which were the first type of carriers built at start to be built around 1942. The first 4 of the carriers, has anybody been to, over the Charleston, they have the Yorktown there. That's CVA, okay, that's CVA 11. That was the first of the class. It's 10. Huh? It's 10. 10, okay, Bob can't count, so it's bad starting off. Keep me up to date, okay. Well, how many people, Navy, how many Navy people? How many served on carriers? Okay, I got fact checkers. How many helo pilots in general? Okay. Okay, a little bit about, so Hancock was actually you check on this. There's 2 types of Essex-class carriers, a short version and a long version. I think Yorktown is short version. Hancock, pretty much, if you've been on the ship, seemed to be a bigger version. I've been on it once to show a friend of mine, and some things seem different. But anyway, served in World War II, was hit by a kamikaze, was taken out of service after World War II, and then, next slide. It rejoined in the 50s. The Hancock was given a hurricane bow angle flight deck. It was given two elevators on the port and starboard side, which is kind of unique and paid a role later on. They kind of retrofitted these carriers, so the elevators weren't really integral to the thing. They were sticking out on either side. The catapults were steam-powered catapults. Hancock was the first one with steam catapults. Gerald Ford is the first one with electromagnetic. There's big controversy whether they're any better. Being in charge of the catapults, I'm biased. I don't know how they can make them any better. They were resilient. It always work. Anyway, so this was a configuration that it had now. It was home ported in Alameda, California. Okay, next. So it was the Hancock was on its last cruise. So for me, I don't even know how I exactly got in the Navy. I mean, just like everyone else, all of our parents, all of our dads, they all served in World War II. Everybody, I tell my kids, wasn't like them growing up. Everybody served. My dad was in the paratroops. I had an uncle who was a glider pilot. They were actually in the same battle in World War II, which none of us knew about until about a year ago. They never talked about it. We were far enough out on Long Island that we weren't close to the city. It was kind of a small town. My father was a small businessman. He was in construction. He built custom houses out on Long Island, and I used to go to work with him. He would talk about the war, but never about, it was kind of, I landed and the radio didn't work, and then all the Germans looked like me, and I'm home. Nothing spectacular. I think I was into sports, and I had good grades, and I was president of senior class. So these type of people applied to the academy. A couple people in my class would go to one of the academies every year. So I applied. I got an appointment, but I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do. And I found out you could do ROTC. And when you go for the interview, they ask, "Do you want to make a career?" And you say yes. And then the trick question is, "Well, why haven't you applied to the academy?" And I did. I got in. So scholarship. So a friend of mine's dad went to Georgia Tech, and I came down. I looked at the school. I thought it was great. I wanted to be an engineer. I was really interested in aerospace. So I came to Georgia Tech, ROTC, and here I was. And I've been asked what was ROTC like. It was like, once a week we'd march around in Bobby Dodd Stadium, and you'd take classes that were easy compared to the engineering. Tech was hard, so it improved the GPA, so it was great. Pay the fraternity bill. Oh, yeah, okay, you have to go on a cruise over the summer. Okay, 6 weeks away, not too bad, I'll do that. And all of a sudden, okay, time to go in the Navy. Oh, okay. So USS Hancock, so out to San Francisco. I'm on the Hancock, get assigned to the engineering department, A division, which is all the auxiliary stuff, and it's in the shipyards. So if you're a division officer on a carrier, there's 3 officers. The guy in charge, who's like a JG or a lieutenant, the ensign, and the warrant officer, the ensign, is in charge of the men. So I'm like an HR person in a manufacturing organization in San Francisco. The Navy isn't too bad, So I got there in March of '74, and we're in the yards. We're doing all the work. We start going out to sea a little bit. Christmas, we go out to sea for training. And March, got to do a cruise. I guess this is, pay the price for the scholarship. And we leave. Second day out, this may sound like a gratuitous observation, but it becomes important. So we stayed in the JO bunk room, which is forward behind the forecastle below the catapults. And there's normally 30 people there. Yeah, your head is the catapult is about between here, you're sleeping here and the catapult's over there. So you could tell what kind of planes they were launching for how far you moved in your rack and slammed your head against the wall. So you realize you got to have the pillow up here for when the, F8s, I better have 2 pillows. Anyway, for some reason, somebody said, hey, there's only one wardroom, and we're all ensigns. We all don't know anything. And they're like, our bosses are going to get mad at us because we're hanging around in the wardroom all the time. We need to do something. So the second day out, they realized there was a green couch on one of the bomb elevators the yard workers left. And the second day, we tore out these 4 desks in the bunk room and threw them off the fantail in the middle of the night and these are officers walking arduously. We get the green couch, and we have our TV. So now we could sit on the couch and watch the TV and see all the entertainment that they have to offer on a Hancock, which is nothing. They have the camera. They have a camera at the catapults, and they have a camera on the arrested gear, so you could watch flight ops. So when there's flight ops, you can see them launching and recovering planes. Otherwise, you're just looking at the ocean. This becomes really important later on. Okay, so the third day out, all of a sudden, bunch of announcements. Code words, a code word for top secret messages that I didn't know what it meant in engineering. I learned when I was in communications. We had all these messages start coming through. Bing, 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 bing. All of a sudden, if you're an engineer, you could feel the decks start to vibrate. The ship is picking up speed. What is going on? The captain goes, we have a situation in Southeast Asia. We have to get there fast. Hancock, this is an old ship. This is on his last cruise, so it's going as fast as it can. Pull into Pearl Harbor. Zip, immediate operations. They take the air wing that had all the planes on the flight deck, put them on the hangar deck. They take the marine helicopters, Jolly Green Giants from, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Kaneohe, I think, is the base. They take the marine helicopters, put them on the flight deck, our air wing, hangar deck, and they take the marine pilots who are going to fly the Jolly Green Giants. Where are we going to put them? Well, there's only 13 guys in the bunk room, and we got 17 other spaces, so the pilots are with us. So they're lieutenants, we're ensigns, and they're in the bunk right next to you. And then out to sea to Subic Bay, which takes, 2 weeks. Seems like a long time to get to Subic Bay. The only thing that happened is like a bare overflight. We look up there. So the point is, there's nothing, they have nothing going on. You get to know these guys. So we really, 2 weeks, you get to know the guys that flew on that ultimately did the flights. So next, into Subic Bay. If anybody's been there, perfect natural port. There's sorry, I'm screwing him up, but it's hard. I can't stand back there. Okay. Cuby Point Naval Air Station is adjacent there. The U.S. is actually going back and opening all this up if you've been reading the news. So the air wing, they fly the air wing on board, but they had to take them off. So take them off by cranes, take the air wing off, exit the air wing, bring on 800 to 1,000 Marines on board Hancock, like 3 days, 2 days, 3 days, boom, fast. We go out, join the fleet. Vung Tau, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's where, yeah, so the fleet is the south of, we're there, and nothing's happening. Just all this action, we're there, we're sailing around. Then next, problems, we have to go to Phnom Penh. So they dispatch the Hancock, we go down to Phnom Penh and evacuate the embassy there, which was, for us, an easy operation. They just went out, got the people. The pilot said, they're waving to the people. as they left. Well, easy for us, but we know what happened. The Khmer Rouge marches in the city later that day and marches people out to the jungle. But for us, it was very simple, easy, no problem. We head to Singapore. We're going to have liberty in Singapore. Hooray. This is fantastic. We're in Singapore a day, I think. 1 day or 2 days. Oh, gotta go. Back to the fleet. Things are happening again. Steam back up, join the fleet, and proceed to sail in circles for day after day after day. I think I had to check. I think it was like 14 days. We're out there doing zero. To give you an idea, in engineering, you have to make fresh water. Fresh water exists for everything in the ship. You have the evaporators, which you take in seawater and you boil it, you condense it, and get rid of all the junk, and you have to, that produces fresh water. It's for the engines, it's for everything that they do. Well, it was so bad that the glass of water you guys were drinking, you can't distill out petroleum products. So the water glass had like an oil slick on it. We're like, there's so many this is in the middle of the ocean. Think about this. The ocean, as big as it is, it was like in circles, petroleum products. Anyway, one day I said, because I'm down and, we're down, never see the light of day in engineering. I say to this guy who worked for me, Lee Bolts, let's go up to the signal bridge, see what's going on. He can't get up there, but I can. So we go up to the signal bridge, come up, and then we go out. First there's a shock to see, and I turn like 360, as far as you can see, ships. I mean, have read that there's like 50 ships. I thought, like, is this the D-Day invasion? I mean, there's so many frigging ships out here going in circles. I can imagine, how we not hit each other. So I go, wow. And that was the first time I realized the power that the United States has. We're halfway around the world. We got 50 ships. We can do, just tell us what to do. We're not in charge of what to do. So, more waiting. Now, what's interesting in the bunk room were ensigns were all in different divisions. So you can find out what's going on. Like, what is your boss saying, or what is your boss? No one knows anything. The Marines, well, we're just waiting for somebody to tell us what to do. What's exactly going on? There was a rumor, I can't confirm this, that they flew in like 4 days before the evacuation, and they were playing golf. So they saw guys playing golf. We're still out there circling around. And, as we all know, no internet. We have no idea. We haven't gotten mail yet. No one has any idea what are we exactly doing. The next thing is I'm on the hangar deck. I come out of where I am. I don't know where I'm going to hangar deck. And the Marines are over by an elevator, battle dress, civilian clothes, blue jeans, flannels. We all wore flannel shirts then, blue jeans, flannel shirts. I go, something's going on. What are they doing? They're going to send in the Marines in civilian dress, which they did. No, think of what just happened in Afghanistan. I mean, we sent in 800 Marines to reinforce the embassy in Saigon. And the American public never knows anything about it. Literally, I just read in some thing during the last couple of weeks after the thing, I said, because we lost 2 Marines in a rocket attack that went in there, and they said these 2 young men, and they were there's 4 of the last casualties from the Hancock. 2, and they said, well, they were 2 of the last casualties, and they were only in country a week. That was the only thing I've ever seen recently. No one has ever said we reinforced the embassy. So I said, okay, something must be happening. Still, no signals, no preparation, no anything. And the Navy, an aircraft carrier is so process-driven. Everything is planned. Everybody has a specific thing to do. There's no room for innovation. We're launching and recovering aircraft with in the middle of the ocean. Everybody has, everybody has a role. There's nothing, no one gives any word about anything. Then all of a sudden, time to go. Next slide. Oh, we even skipped this. Okay, evacuation day. Sorry about that. So the plan was, the only plan was that there wasn't a lot of room at the embassy, so they had to land one Jolly Green Giant at a time. So it has had a sequence. They go out, sequenced. There was a concern that the enemy had Stinger missiles, which they never had before, that possibly they would shoot them down, so they all had flares on it. That was their only concern. The guys were calm, time to go, we launch them. One at a time. It was actually an easy air op compared to what's normally done. It wasn't, almost immediately upon them leaving, helicopters would show up. Apparently, what we learned is, and I often tell people this, what would you do if somebody came to your house and you said you got 30 minutes to leave? Just 30 minutes. There's a helicopter outside, your uncle's in it, you got 30 minutes to leave, what are you going to take? And that's what happened. They just went home. Anybody that had access to a helo went home, got his wife, kids, family, uncles, anywhere, and then got in a plane, and then they flew out into the fleet. How did they know where they were going to land? What did they think? So they start coming out. So first thing was 2 Chinooks land on the Hancock. And what are we going to do? This is, our helicopters have to land. These helicopters are landing. What do we do? So the first thing they did is they took the Chinooks and now, in the bunk room, we have the cameras. So if you weren't on deck or you weren't working, you could watch everything. Everybody saw everything. The cameras were there. You could see it. You could watch it happen. There were haphazard helicopters coming down. So, but anyway, back to the Chinooks. So they take let's throw the Chinooks off the fantail. So they take the first one that has skids, and it gets hung up. If you've seen an aircraft carrier, they got a netting that's about 5 foot wide that goes around the thing. Well, the Chinook gets well, first of all, it was funny, which I learned later, everybody on the flight decks cheers, like, hooray, we get to throw a helicopter over the side. Not realizing, hey, this is like a World War II movie. This is what they run back there to do this. Not realizing what's going to happen. So they get the Chinook, gets hung up in the netting on a 45-degree angle. And it's not going in the ocean. And they take one of the vehicles, they're trying to push the thing, and so now he's sailing the ship with a Chinook hanging off the end. Finally, it just tore the weight of the Chinook just tore the stuff right off the back of the fan, all that netting and stuff in the ocean. So they took the other one and they threw that one off. Meanwhile, we're having Hueys land indiscriminately. And one of the guys in the bunker, we actually saw him. I don't know what his job was on the flight deck, but he had to jump in the netting to prevent him getting landed on. So this can't happen. We have to get rid of these helicopters for our own, and we can't stop these people from landing. One guy, they have film of this. This is one thing I've seen on a film. They have this one guy, he flies out. He lowered his thing, he let off his family, and he went out and he threw the stick one way and jumped the other way, and the helicopter was in the ocean. This is not working. We have to let them land. We have to have control over this. We'll do something with it later. So what they got is a system where they would land, they get the people out, they take the weapons, throw it over the side. They had big bags of white stuff. Bags, this big white stuff. Throw that over the side. What was that? I don't know. Heroin, whatever. That's money. They had that, so they threw that over the side, had the people. Then the embarrassing thing was, Navy ships are really clean. We got people from all over the place. They would throw like disinfectant on the people. This is humiliating. Anyway, take them below to the hangar deck. They eventually got a system where they got the helicopters, got the people off down to the hangar deck, took the helicopters, after they did that, took them down to the hangar deck, stripped them. They took them down on the elevator behind the island, brought them across the hangar deck, and took them to the elevator on the other side, brought them up. And it was fortunate that the elevators were stuck out so far that you could throw them over the side, and you're not going to run over the helicopter that you threw over the side. So almost instantaneously, they got this system going, and they began to process the people, and then there was room for our helicopters and these other helicopters to land. And that worked, and that just went on all day, just all day. The Vietnamese helicopters, the volume of that started to stop, and then we started to see boats. You know, the beginning of the boat people, we started to see boats, which we couldn't get those people on ours, and they kind of instructed them to like sail around and don't approach us while we are. And so it went all day until into the night, and basically until the Marines who were flying these things, they would just all day, all time. Okay, do my next slide. Okay, next one. Okay. So that was it. So then it was done. One day, everything was done. So I asked the guy who was in the bunk next to me, he woke up, what happened? Did you have a list to sort through people? Did you go through? He said, we hit the ground, we dropped the gate, opened the doors, the people rushed in. They were all, they didn't have the stature of Americans do, as you guys know now. They just packed as many people as they could, closed it, took off. He said, we were not on the ground 30 seconds. Just bang, 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 bang. Anybody who could get on, got on. No one was checking anybody about anything. So what we did is we ended up with, the next day, our helicopters, Air America helicopters, and some Hueys that were not totally screwed up on the flight deck, had all the people in the hangar deck. We recovered the Marines. The Marines were at the back of the hangar deck. The people were in the front of the hangar deck, and they actually had them set out in kind of a grid of all the people. Now, keep in mind, women were not on Navy ships then. Kids were not on Navy ships. We had 2,000 some odd people on the ship that no one had any idea they were going to be there 24 hours before. Yeah, over 2,000. I think we had like 5,000 people on the ship or so, our crew and that. I don't know the exact numbers, but we had a lot of people. Next slide. And how do you feed these people? How do you keep the ship clean? The latrines. I mean, I got up from a watch, the mid-watch in the middle of the night, went to the head, and it was packed with women and kids in the thing. It was, but there was no, the thing that was remarkable about this is, you remember the hurricane in New Orleans a couple of years ago? Everybody's like screaming, yelling. There was no screaming and yelling. There was silence, almost silence. The people were, they're on the ship, and there were old people, little kids. they could have been on we could have been aliens taking them to Andromeda. I mean, it was just so, and there was no problems at all with them, the crew, whatever. And what struck me the whole time, it was just the silence of everything. Kids, a little bit of kids crying, but not, I guess, just when you think you leave the country. Anyway, let me see, is there another? Let's see what's next. Okay, not one, go back. Okay, I'll go one more story. So the other thing they did, they had to check the bags. You check the bags, they had it piled up on either side. So I volunteered, everybody sort of figured out how to help. So one of the things I did, you had to have an officer go through their bags before you'd give them back to them. So we'd go through the bags, they had a big pile of stuff, they had their little ticket, and you go through the bags, and they had nothing. It was just nothing. One, a toothbrush, what they had, the human cost, the human thing, what would humans bring? They all bring the little personal items. There was one person, and given the intro, you'll like this, there was one person who was obnoxious. It was some guy from the embassy from New York. With his girlfriend, a beautiful Vietnamese girl dressed like Jacqueline Kennedy, and him, totally obnoxious. And I had to tell him, what is this, TWA, shut up, buddy, look at what's going on. And I found out he knew somebody I knew. I meet somebody, the worst guy in the world, and we have somebody in common in that situation. You can't make this stuff up. The other really impactful thing is there was another gentleman, khaki pants, blue blazer, shirt, little heavy for Vietnamese, and he had a yellow Samsonite, like they used to have those in the 70s, like a briefcase kind of thing. That was his thing. So we opened it up, and what he has is stacks of freshly minted Vietnamese money. And I looked at him, he looked at me, I'm staring at him like, it's funny, he said it, I said, this is not worth anything, and he's like dealing with that. And I said, well, can I have a couple of bills? And he gave me a couple, and I was actually going to bring them. I forgot to bring them today. I still have them, but so that guy, however he acquired his money and his good lifestyle, he had zero. And I got to see that, it's pretty impactful. So anyway, the other interesting thing, very important, I need to mention this, we lost two helo pilots. They were flying, and they just flew too much. And they had a ceremony for them on the flight deck on the way back, and what I thought was interesting, the whole time it was like a really gray, overcast, clammy environment, not windy, not too cold, not too hot, but kind of like your skin is sticking to you or anything. And they had this ceremony, and like the sun started, it was at nighttime, and the clouds started to lift. We had that. And when we pulled into Subic, the day the people left the ship, it was a bright sunny day. And I actually took this picture. I was actually on the other side of that. I remember watching them get off the ship, and as quickly as they got on, they left. They walked off quiet, got on quiet, left quiet, just walked off the ship, and I went to America and never saw them again, and then that was it. It was over. It was over as fast as it started. So next slide, please. So after that, routine cruise, sailing around. Hancock pulls into, I got myself out of engineering into communications because I was a slacker and, too much in the engine room. And the day I had to work the day we pulled in. And so I was on the signal bridge, and when we pulled in, this was the last time the Hancock was ever going to be at sea. So they blew the whistle and pulled down the flag. And I asked the chief, I said, what are you going to do with the flag? He shrugs. I said, give it to me. He gave it to me. I put it in a bag. I brought it home, and I've had it for 50 years. I'm going to show it to you guys later. But that's the flag that flew during the evacuation. So as far as me, you know, like all you guys, we came back in October. The evacuation was in May. The country had moved on. You know, nobody was interested in anything. Nothing. No, every once in a while, oh, helicopters over the side, cool, 1-minute conversation. No interest in anything. I went down to San Diego, you know, didn't get in any trouble, got out honorably, got my MBA, and I'm back in Dunwoody in 1978. I'm back in Atlanta. It's like it was like this blip in my life. I've been here ever since. Did not think much about Vietnam, but I realized that gradually I had changed. Next. Oh, yeah. First.
This seems to be the last chapter in the history of American involvement in Vietnam. It's also been the largest single movement of people in the history of America itself. Hillary Brown, ABC News, aboard the attack aircraft carrier USS Hancock in the South China Sea.
Okay. This woman, I went to, I'm watching in my house The Deer Hunter, which I didn't think was a great movie, but I watched it and it's going on, and I go, oh God, are they going to get to the end of the thing? And they had this clip of this woman. Now, I saw her, I was on the second day coming back to Subic. I looked out among these people in the flight deck, and there was this woman reporter, white pantsuit recorder, and she's microphone. She's walking around the people, casually doing her job, recording her observations of these people. And my reaction was, how can you do that job? How can you walk out here among these people and just see this and indifferently record the stuff? So I said, I hate this woman. I have no idea who she is. I hate this woman. And here I am, like 8 or 9 years later, I'm watching The Deer Hunter, and she, of all people, shows up. I still hate her when I play that thing. So that was my first change. The next one was I'm on my patio, sitting on my patio, and it's April 25th or something, and I'm going, God, 25 years later, my wife calls me, Bob, there's somebody on the phone says he was in the Navy with you. Well, it's Gene Spangler, who slept next to me, and he goes, Bob, it's 25 years. So we talk a little bit. He's getting on with his life is good, my life is good. Haven't talked to him since. No, he's great, but I mean, it was like, wow. He called me at the same date that I was actually thinking about this. And, you know, I realized that, you know, my kids suffered from this. You know, I wasn't interested in any complaining or bitching about whatever they weren't getting. When you see people that have nothing, have left your country, you know, you're not really like tolerant about, you know, somebody's not, you know, hey, I take care of my house and everything, but, you know, I'm not freaking out about things in life. I'm different. I'm a different person. You know, people, maybe some of you guys have gone back to Vietnam, but when my neighbor says they want to go there for vacation, it's just incomprehensible to me, because my memories are not that. I'm not the same person as them, even though it was only a week. The next thing, which I would really encourage you guys, if you're interested in this, is Last Days in Vietnam. Rory Kennedy did this special, and it's the only thing I've ever gone and watched, and my wife encouraged me to go. I didn't want to go because I thought it'd be full of politics, but it's not. It's about the guys in the embassy dealing with the issue at the time, and I found out why we were sailing in circles for days and nothing was going on, so that was good. The other thing is they talked about the USS Knox, which was a destroyer, which got 2 or 3 helicopters, and their story was identical to mine. Identical. And I said, wow, this is a great, so I got that. And the next thing was recently is 2 people of Vietnamese descent moved across the street from me. And she's He went to Yale. She went to Cal Berkeley. She's an ophthalmologist. Both her parents are refugees. Parents have not talked too much about it, and they got two little kids. And my house is high, and their house is low. This is uncanny. You can't make this up. It's the exact angle of the cameras to the flight deck. And I see these kids. I saw them this morning. They run out. They run out of their house, out of their car. They're the parents are the same age as the Vietnamese people, and the kids are the same age. Only it's joyful. It's like, wow. What does all this mean? I don't know. I'm just saying what happened. So. I have this article. I want to show you something. It's really why I wanted to come today. Is this the last slide? Next slide. Okay. So my takeaway is not what everyone else thought. To me, it was the greatest display of teamwork I had ever seen in my life. I mean, this is the draft age people. This is everybody. We're supposedly screw-ups or whatever. There's no plan, and everybody just clicked into place and did their thing. So my takeaway, my thing was, this was tremendous teamwork. And I never thought the crew could do it or anything. So I honor those guys today. And I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm not about anybody's point of view. That's what I saw in that thing. I thought it was America at its greatest, in a bad situation. I may have opinions about the Afghanistan withdrawal, if anybody wants to ask about that. But, so I have this flag, and I think it's symbolic. I'm going to put this down because I want to show you this. So, with the national anthem, if you're familiar with the Navy, you don't strike the colors. You strike the colors, that's surrender. Oops, you got the wrong line. So, what they told me about this last days of Vietnam, I told them that it was, I had texted the people who did last days in Vietnam to say it was they did a great job. I had been there, I thought the story was really accurate. I didn't hear from them, and then about 8 weeks later, they got back to me. They said, we want you to do an interview. I said, well, why do you want me? I didn't do anything. He said, well, based on your thing, we've changed our perspective. We're doing this thing on how the Vietnamese people did an arrival in America, and they realized after talking to you, arrival in America was when they arrived on your ship. This is the flag they saw. And I think this flag's symbolic of what all you guys went through. It's burned up. It's burned up. We're hurting. It's burned up. It's a little smoky. You smell it. It smells like stack gas. Anybody's in the Navy, you want to remember what it was like, take a whiff. But you know what? We did our thing, and we did it honorably, and we represented America well, and I salute the crew, and I salute all of you guys. And I'm going to turn to the Navy Museum wants this, and I'm just happy for the opportunity to be here and share this with you guys today. So, any
Questions?
Questions?
Just a comment at our memorial in Dunwoody, the keynote speaker for the dedication was a two-star general in the U.S. Army, came out of Vietnam as a boat person. Wow.
Did you figure out how the reporter got on the ship? Was she at the embassy and came from the embassy to the ship?
Excuse me?
The reporter that you dislike, did she come out of the embassy to the ship, or was she a stowaway?
No, we had the press. If you ever notice, there's not a lot of videos of anything that happened because none of them were on board when it happened. So we had the CIA, we had the Air America people, we had press on board. So she came out of the embassy. Allegedly, she felt bad because she left 4 of our people back But, yeah, I don't know. Any other? She wasn't a stowaway, though. Apparently that was her iconic line that made her famous, was that thing. Yes?
I was a supply officer on a Navy ship before you were over there. I'm just wondering how you fed all those people. Did they go through the chow line like the crew?
They divided the hangar deck into grids, and they had people in grids. And what they would do is when it was time to eat, they'd bring that grid down, and they'd clean up their space and bring them back. So, yeah, the supply guy, how did they feed all they had brought on stuff prior to, but not everything. I mean, we're all not eating great, let's put it that way, but that's what they did. It was like, I mean, the organization, so it worked smooth. They brought them down through the chow line, ate there, brought them back.
They had 90 days worth of food on board.
Is that why? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yes.
You said there were 50 ships around. Is your ship the only ship that brought people back, or was other ships people up to?
Anybody that had a place where a helicopter could land ultimately had people. The primary one was the Midway had Jolly Green Giants from Japan, and they did this. They had pretty much the same complement as the Hancock, maybe a little bit more. There were two other carriers there, Enterprise and somebody else, but they were air support. They didn't have anybody on. Yes.
Any idea how many helicopters pushed overboard?
On ours, 21. 21. Yeah, the 21st was pushed back on the way to Subic for the press to take a picture of. And I tried to find that one, but I couldn't. It's okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Bob. That was so interesting. Everybody knows here that I was commanding officer of a Coast Guard boat, all 82 feet of it. I guess we could have fit in the place we were sleeping at night in terms of size, but I certainly know those waters. I'm a graduate of Levittown High School on Long Island, came to Dunwoody in 1979, so there's a lot more in common that we can talk about afterwards. But on behalf of the Atlanta Vietnam Veterans Business Association, I'd like to present you with this book, I'm Ready to Talk. It was written by people in this room, and it's their stories in Vietnam, and of course, a challenge coin. Okay, so thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate your sharing with us. Thank you all so very much for your questions, your attention, etc., and the moment that you've now been waiting for, our USO drawing.